We are going to look at the leetcode problem, top k frequent elements. Previously we solved this problem using Hashmap and heap using a priority queue, but today we are going to solve this problem using a Hashmap and bucket sort. Let's read the problem. It says given an integer array nums and an integer k, return the k most frequent elements. You may return the answer in any order. So here's an example. Nums is equal to 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3. K is equal to 2 and output is 1, 2. And okay, so here's another example. Nums is equal to 1 and k is equal to 1 and output is 1. And today we are going to use a hash map and a bucket sort to solve this problem. So the idea is to use a hash map to count frequencies, then use bucket sort to group elements by frequency. Since the maximum frequency is at most n array size, create an array of buckets where the index represents frequencies and each bucket contains elements with that frequency. Iterate through the buckets in reverse order to collect the top k elements. So the advantage here is that it achieves O of n time complexity, and I think it meets the follow-up requirement here. And the disadvantage here is that it requires extra space proportional to the array size of the buckets, and it's less intuitive than a heap based approach. So let's start coding. So the first step would be to count the frequency of each element using a hash map. So the step 2 would be to create bucket array where index is equal to frequency. The step 3 would be to collect top k elements from buckets in descending frequency. Okay, let me run this code. Yes, it's good. Yeah, the runtime is 11 millisecond and the memory is 45.59 and okay, let me talk about this code here. So here in the first step, we are counting the frequencies. We are creating a hash map to store each element and its frequency, and we're iterating through nums, updating the frequency of each element using get or default to handle elements not yet in the map. Default frequency is 0, and in the second step we are creating a bucket array where index is equal to frequency. So here we are creating an array of list of integers with size, nums, length plus 1, and the frequencies, so the frequencies range from 0 to n, and we are iterating through the hash map keys, which are unique elements, and for each element get is frequency and add it to the bucket corresponding to that frequency. Initialize We're initializing a new array list for a bucket if it's null. And so here in the third step, we are creating the result array of size k and iterating through the bucket array from the highest frequency to the lowest, from n to 0, and for each non-null bucket, we are adding its elements to the result array until k elements are collected, and we are breaking early if k elements are found. So let me walk through an example now. So when num is equal to 1, I'm just going to write here, when num is equal to 1, the frequency map is going to be one comma one, and again we have num is equal to 1, so we're updating the frequency map to be 1 comma 2, and again we have num is equal to 1. So it's updated to 1 comma 3, and then we have num is equal to 2, so we have 1 comma 3 and 2 comma 1, and again num is equal to 2, so we have 1 comma 3 and 2 comma 2. Now the num is going to be 3. Okay, that's the frequency map we have now, and now we are in the second step, bucket sort, and here we are initializing the bucket, and so the bucket array's size would be num's length plus 1, which is 7, and for each entry in the frequency map, we are getting the frequency and adding it to the bucket corresponding to that frequency. So it's like because we are using the bucket sort to group the elements by frequency, so let me, so here this is how it is. So when for each entry in the frequency map, we have like num is equal to 1. For num is equal to 1, we have frequency is 3. So bucket of 3 is going to have 1, and second entry here is 2. So for num is equal to 2, and frequency is 2. So bucket of 2 is equal to 2. And the third entry in the frequency map is 3, 1. So here we have, for the bucket of 3 to the bucket of 1, we have the value 3. So this is the bucket array that we have. Yes, and bucket is a list of integer arrays, so it's going to be a list here. So bucket of 0 is going to be null, and bucket of 1 is 3, and bucket of 2 is 2, and bucket of 3 is 1, and the size of the bucket array is 7. So one, two, three, 4. So for the rest of the values, we are going to have null. Okay, so now we are in step 3. Here we are collecting the top k elements from the bucket in the descending frequency. So here we are initializing the resulting array. So result is going to be and index is going to be 0. Here we know that k is equal to 2, so the result array has a size of 2, and the index is 0, and now we are iterating through the bucket's length, and so we are iterating from I is equal to 6, bucket's length minus 1, which is 6, and to 0. So let's do that. So now we need to add 1 to the result. So here, yeah, so when bucket of I is not null, we need to add that to the result, and the index is going to be, we are incrementing the index, so result of 1, result of 0 actually. And if index is equal to k, we are breaking the loop and then we are returning the result. So here it's going to be, we are going to add 1 to result, and index is equal to 1 here, and when I is equal to 2, bucket of 2 is 2 actually. So we are adding 2 to result of 1 and incrementing the index. Now because index is 2 and k is 2, we can break now. Break the loop and return the result. Index is equal to k, so we can break. So the result that's going to be returned is 1, 2. And let me walk through the next example 2. So the example 2 is nums is equal to 1 and k is equal to 1, and frequency map is going to be one, and the bucket, it's going to be null because bucket of 0, we have no frequency map doesn't have the value 0, and yeah, actually the key is 0, and for 1 we have 1, so we are going to enter that, and result k is equal to 1, so we are going to only have result of 0, which is 1. There's only one null value. The first value in the bucket is null, so it would be skipped, and the result is going to be 1. So that would be the output here.